Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I am out in the wild and I'm in Fearby in North Yorkshire, which might not mean a lot to most of you, but behind me is a pub called the Black Swan, and Fearby is located just a couple of miles outside of Masham, which may mean something to you. Masham is the home to two very large traditional breweries, both Theakston's and Black Sheep, both of which have a lot of collective history. For those that don't know, Theakston's was the original, the first, I guess, and Black Sheep was produced kind of due to a family falling out between two members of the Theakston's family. So both of them are Theakston by name in one way or another. So what am I doing here today? Well, this pub sits just 2 miles, as I said, away from both of those breweries, and it serves both of their beers, which I think in this part of the world is somewhat of a rarity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put head to head both of their kind of, I guess, flagship traditional beers, both Best Bitters, Theakston's Best Bitter and Black Sheep Best Bitter, to see, well, which is best. I'm going to do them pint at a time to enjoy the whole thing, talk you through it, and I do apologise for the wind because, well, this is North Yorkshire in March and it's windy out here. So we're going to go and do that right now. Right, let's go and get the first pint. Right then, here we have it, the first. The Black Sheep Best Bitter. Why have I gone for the Black Sheep first? Well, this, despite serving from both breweries, is in fact a Black Sheep not owned pub, but they seem to have a stronger relationship with them. The branding, I don't know if you can see, is on the sign at the top behind me, just up there. I'll give you some previews of that on screen now. But they do seem to be a bit more kind of Black Sheep affiliated. So we'll go with the Black Sheep first. This is a beautiful Black Sheep glass. I already showed you one side, but it's got that on the other as well. So yeah, this should be a quality pint. It really should. Now, full disclosure, I've been drinking both of these for the last 3 days because I've been up here a while, so I do know what they're like, but here's a first review. So, I mean, it's outside, it's windy. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the aromas much justice, but super malty, sweet lick, really, really minor floral notes. Now, I have reviewed this beer before on mini keg, which I'll pop a link to up there should you want to watch it. But so I have done this beer before, but not this fresh and not on true cask form. So let's get into it. Cheers. Oh yes. Oh, wow. I mean, there's fresh, and then there's that all over the moustache, and I have to say, just look at it. Look at the conditioning on that beer. Just look. Absolutely divine. Fantastic clarity. You can almost see through it. You see me through it. Oh, it's terrifying. And it's you just don't get fresher than this. It's bitter. It's sweet. Super malty. A touch more floral on the taste, but it's not overdone, if you like. It's reserved, it's got character, but it is what it is. It's a Best Bitter and it's easy drinking, really easy drinking. I've just come back from a 6-mile hill walk, so I'm very much looking forward to this. 6 miles will be a lot for some of you, not a lot for others. It was, I guess, an intermediate walk for us, but we're from the Midlands where we have no hill, so it's pretty tiring for us. And yeah, feels well deserved. Cheers again. It's always interesting putting two breweries head to head, especially two that have got such a connected and long history together. I feel like Black Sheep is my preferred out of the two, but that said, the best beer, or my favourite beer, should I say, out of the two breweries, probably Theakston's Triple XB, which is not one, unfortunately, they have on cask here at the moment, but if they did, then that might be a winner. But yeah, overall, I take Black Sheep, but on an individual beer basis, I think that Triple XB does it for me. I say generally speaking, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the Theakston's puts itself together after experiencing this just delicious, incredibly creamy, delight. Right, quick top to bottom taste test, and I'll finish this pint and go get the next one. So, initially, slightly bitter up front, super low carbonation. There is some in there. It's not dead flat, but you wouldn't call it fizzy, nowhere near. And then second phase, slightly malty, slightly nutty. Bitterness wears off a little bit. That goes into a slightly sweeter note. It's not sweet. It's not a properly sweet beer by any means, but just a hint of sweetness. And then a tickle of that slightly floral, slightly, it's almost grassy, meadow, proper Yorkshire countryside vibes, to be honest. It's definitely tastes of where it comes from. And then on the finish, back to that bitter, traditional best bitter, slightly creamy, very creamy in this case. And a bit of the hop comes through, loads of malt character again, and it just finishes off as, I mean, I've been drinking this unedited for 5.5 minutes. I mean, it is a fantastic beer. It really is. Right, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this pint, and then I'll go get the next one. Right then, time for the next one. And here we have it then. Theakston's Best Bitter. Should have said before, both of these beers are 3.8%, so they are properly sessionable. And I mean, we can't do a side by side here, but they're pretty comparable in look and appearance. Absolutely, both silky smooth. Now, this one, I don't know why. I feel like my prejudgment is the Black Sheep just is better, but is that my bias towards Black Sheep as a whole? I'm not sure, but the aroma on this is actually a bit fresher. It's got a bit of a very subtle citrusy zing to it, and there's a slight yeastiness to the aroma as well. It doesn't have as much aroma, certainly out here in this very windy hill that I'm sat on, compared to the Black Sheep, but yeah, it's a bit more subtle in that respect. But for the taste, well, let's find out. Cheers. Wow. Now, despite what I've said, the texture, the body, the creaminess of this pint actually, at least initially, on the head, supersedes that of the Black Sheep. The head on this is just pure cream. However, beer itself, a little bit, I don't want to say thinner necessarily, but it is less creamy. It's more refreshing, the base body of the beer. There's no real fruity notes to speak of on this one. My moustache is having a field day with all this foam. And it's still malt heavy, but again, maybe not as malty as the Black Sheep. It's weird. It's still as balanced, but maybe just a bit less flavour throughout. It's a little bit more... It's kind of a more basic taste profile, but I don't want to say that it's more basic because it kind of does it a bit of an injustice. Yes, there's not as an extreme in terms of the hop presence and the malt bill. Not that Black Sheep is extreme either, but you know what I mean. It's not as present in this beer. But what it does have is a real mineral quality. If you want a fine example of what this North Yorkshire water is like, this beer shows it off in absolute leaps and bounds, because super soft, mineral heavy, It's got a real faint metallic flick in there. I mean, where I'm sat right now really is just Yorkshire's farming homeland. I'll flip my camera around and you can see it's just fields upon fields for miles and miles. And after a hard day's grafting on a farm, this would be absolute solace. And as with the other one, I'm now 4 minutes in, unedited, and we're halfway down it already. So, quick top to bottom taste test. Not particularly bitter up front, not especially sweet either. It's quite subtle, welcoming, bit creamy, not too much going on. Second phase, again, not as much as the Black Sheep. It's faint. There's a fleck of bitterness comes in, a little bit of the malt bill. It's sweet, but not particularly overpowering. It's quite thick though, because you're still at that point kind of coming off the back of that incredibly smooth cream head. Then gets to the back of the tongue, it all kicks off. More bitterness and sweetness at the same time, kind of just living together in harmony, giving you both sides of this beer with a huge waft of that solid mineral forward water profile that's both refreshing, fulfilling, comforting. Individual pick out tasting notes in this beer is actually quite difficult, but this beer is more of a traditional experience than an homage to traditional beer. This is the real deal. This is straight up trad beer, and when it's this fresh, conditioned this well, it is simply divine. On the swallow, tiny bit bitter, a bit of a lemon citrus thing, super mild though, tiny bit of malt rounds it out. But on the whole, it's subtle, it's balanced, and it's just something you could, well, to be honest, knock back an awful few pints with. And yeah, I mean, I don't have a great deal more to say about this beer. Between the two, I'll be honest, the Black Sheep is my favourite still, but I've been going back and forth between these two all week in this pub, and I know why now, because despite how good the Black Sheep is, this really has something of a endearing property about it that just can't be taken away. It's different enough. The fact that these two beers, the same style, come out of breweries, I mean, they can basically see each other, right? I mean, it's incredible. Really is that different. And there's only one thing that could make this better. Be right back. So, what could round out an afternoon of a decent walk and 2 fantastic pints of best bitter? Well, a quality sausage roll. That is a class combo. Right, that is everything. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you would be so kind. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.